So here I have another Ryzen Mini PC, and this one rocks quite a powerful CPU in here actually, Ryzen 7 8845HS. So I'm excited to take a look, tear it apart, test it. Let's take a look what this Mini PC is made of. Licensing Windows is cheap and easy with whokeys.com, and if you use the code TN20 you get an extra discount. Complete the purchase, copy the key and paste it to the activation settings. And you're all done. Also check out their Microsoft Office 19 license and use the same code TN20 for the extra discount. Check out whokeys.com in the video description below. So this is from Beelink, and this is the SE series. Maybe a little bit smaller than the Mac Mini. Oh. Oh wow. This is very, very nice. Very nice color. So this is metal all the way around. Hello. Can you see this here? This is a bit of a Apple-like kind of a box here. Just for reference, this is my MacBook Pro 19 that I actually broke, but I still have it. And look at that. As you can see, the color is identical finish to the space gray. So it truly, you can call it space gray. As usual, we've got a HDMI cable, power brick, which is 120 watts, and some instructions. So let's turn this PC on and take a look what it's made of. So right, I've set the PC up, the Windows is installed. In fact, actually a very latest Windows 11 was installed. So when I was doing updates on the 13th of June, there was hardly anything there, which is really, really good news. So when we're looking at the specs here, we can see that this is a Ryzen 7. It's got 8 cores and 16 threads. It does go up to 5.1 gigahertz actually in terms of speed. We've got 32 gigs of RAM, that's 5600 mega transfers per second, 2 SODIMM slots. We've got 1 terabyte SSD, 2.5 gig LAN, and our Radeon 780M graphics. Now I ran the SSD speed test already, and we're getting roughly about 5.1 gigabytes read and 4.6 or 4.7 gigabytes write speeds. Now, I've got Cinebench R23 open and I want to test the CPU. As you can see, the core clock speeds, we are going up to 5.1 gigahertz, and the CPU package power draw is over here. So let's do a multi-core test and see how all of the 8 cores reacts. Bear in mind, right now this PC is on the balance mode. In a moment, I'm going to show you how you can go to the performance mode and get a bit more power pulled from there, but right now we're limited to 54 watts. All cores are going about 4.37, almost 4.4 gigahertz, and we're about 60 degrees Celsius. That's insane cooling for a mini PC like that. That's one of the things that I really like about this mini PC actually, and I've tested quite a few. Some of them try to make the mini PC like as small as possible, but then it's actually quite loud and the cooling isn't particularly good. I don't mind if you add extra 10 millimeters on each side to make the PC a bit bigger and put a little bit bigger cooler in there so that it's actually quiet and can cool anything down. Look at that. 54 watts we pulled through from this pretty much for the last little bit, and we were 66 degrees. That is such good temperature. All of the cores went pretty much 1.1 gigahertz, as you can see there. Some of them are a little bit better, like core 1 there seems to go a little bit higher, but 16,000 points, that's pretty fantastic. If you restart and go into the BIOS, so start hitting the delete button, okay? And here when you go to advanced settings, scroll down to OEM feature management, and the power limit, we're gonna set to performance mode. I can definitely hear the fan a bit more, and seems like the fan is like set at like higher fan speed setting, so it's not like ramping up if it doesn't need to, it is just higher there. Let's have a look what's going on. Okay, I was wrong. Now the fan finally went down. I'm not sure what was going on. So let's try this test again. Remember, previously we were at 16,000 points, and now we're limited to 65 watts, as you can see. And our core clock speeds are 4.6, really. So we're gaining extra 200, 300 megahertz. Let's see how this is actually going to go there. But looks like the temperature isn't necessarily going that much higher. We were about 66, 67. So now we're about 3-4 degrees warmer than previously. 17,000 points. So extra 1,000 points there. And look at that, we went to 73 degrees. that is really, really good temperature. Extra 6 degrees or something like that, but so much more power. Honestly, this cooling probably can handle a little bit more of CPU power, but unfortunately it's only capped at 65 watts. We're not able to increase it any further. Let's try Cinebench R24, capping again 65 watts. But here, look at that. Some of the CPU cores were at 4.8, 4.9 gigahertz. So it's actually somehow boosting all of the cores a lot higher than on Cinebench R23. I forgot the 10-minute test on. Let's do a single multi-core test. All right. And interestingly, how fast it cools it down as well. It was down back to 45 watts in no time. Look at that. 4.7, 4.81, 4.82 there. As you can see, we are not thermal throttling. We are 79.1 degrees, something like that. But it's still boosting full on speed. And I think 79 degrees seems to be like the maximum it's gonna go. It's 25.1 degrees in this room right now. So you have a little bit of a reference what these temperatures mean. Now, one interesting thing is I can see that the CPU is pulling 65 watts. I'm measuring how much power I'm pulling from the socket, and from the socket I'm pulling 99.6 watts. So we're pulling 100 watts from the socket, which means that the rest of the system, like the fan and RAM and all the rest of the things, are pulling 35 watts, which is quite a lot for a whole lot of nothing. Compared to Apple Mac Mini M1, M2, M3, hardly anything gets pulled from the wall. But right now we're pulling 100 watts from the wall. So is the fan really taking that much power? What is taking so much power that we have to have extra 35 watts pulled from the socket? So we just got a 979 point score. And what does that actually mean? If we compare this to the i5 12600K, which is a desktop CPU that pulls 125 watt plus from the socket, which is almost double what we're pulling there, we're actually performing slightly better than the 12600K. 12600K gets 970 points, which is impressive power from this guy here, and being at such a small form factor. I mean, I'm super impressed with the cooling. In fact, I don't actually know how they do it. Well, I actually do know, and I'll show you this in a minute, what's inside the PC. But 81 degrees maximum, and then like 10 minutes straight, 160 watts. Usually all the other PCs or mini PCs that I've tested have been thermally throttling, have been somehow clocking down. This guy was solid, pushing. Absolutely impressive. Well, let's turn this PC off and take a look what's inside. Before I open this up, it's probably best talking about the I/O. So here's a few different things. These two bottom USB Type A ports are USB 2.0. This one here is USB 3.2, which is 10 gigabits in speed. This is 2.5 gigabit LAN, DisplayPort, HDMI, mic and headphone combo jack, as well as a USB-C port that is USB 4. So that's impressive. And our DC port. Seems like I don't see any Kensington lock ports here, so you can't really lock this in. We've got another mic and headphone combo jack in the front there. USB Type-C 10 gigabits and USB 3.2 10 gigabits as well. Now, this power button is actually really nice texture. It matches the color quite well, but it's actually a rubbery texture, so you're not gonna miss it with your finger when you're putting it there. And I really like this space gray design. It's one of the best, I think, looking mini PCs that I have seen. So let's take this guy apart. I believe we have screws underneath here. Okay, once you've got the screws open, I think you've got this little handle rubber latch pulley thing here. We should be pulling this out, and there we go. So there is a little bit of a dust filter thing going on that I've never seen on any other PCs as well, which is pretty cool. So we've got this a bit of a bigger circular mesh on the plastic cover on the bottom, and then a bit of a finer mesh on here. And I guess the airflow goes that it sucks the air in from the bottom through this dusted plate. Please dust regularly, it says here. SE series dust filter, that's really cool. And it keeps the dust from going into like all your NVMe's and RAM and actually making insulation for these, which I'm liking. So I think that's really cool. So let's take this dust filter off. You need to extra 2 screws. Now these are different screws. And when cleaning it, you can just hoover it off or something like that. Okay, now this is very interesting as well. They're taking this very seriously and seems like a very good quality product, what we're seeing here. we've got an SE series SSD cooler. Now, I've never seen that good of an SSD cooler on both of the NVMe slots. That's insane. And they've got a little daughter motherboard here for the front panel I/O as well, which is interesting. So RAM upgrade is easy. Just pull them out. We've got DDR5 SODIMM slots in here. We've got a crucial one here. Both of them running 5600 mega transfers per second. Oh, and they've put the Wi-Fi antennas underneath here because their back is plastic, as you can see here. The rest of the chassis is metal, so they want to get still good Bluetooth and wireless connectivity. So that's why they're putting this somewhere in the back there. So let's take the SSD cooler off. Okay, so far seems like only the bottom legs are one like longer screws, and then rest of them seems to be the same screws for now. Yep. Oh yeah. So you've got thermal pad in there, as well as a massive heat block, heat sink, and then that's actually like thermal taped over there as well. This is solid engineering. Looks very, very good quality. Then underneath we've got one SSD slot there, and then the other one there. It only supports 2280 M.2 SSDs. It's PCIe Gen 4 X4 slots, so you can get full fat speeds. I like that the screw is already pre-installed in there if you want to upgrade that. Then we've got a little daughter motherboard over here. So we need a very fine screwdriver tip for this to get this off here. Okay, and that just pops off. As you can see there, little ribbon cable. Okay, now suddenly the front two screws, I'm trying to leave them where I took them here because all the screws are slightly different size. So this is the daughter motherboard for the reset or BIOS CMOS, clear CMOS switch, power switch, and the front panel I/O. Very cool. Then I guess we're gonna take these screws. Okay, so this is for our Wi-Fi antennas. Wi-Fi antenna little rack that kind of screws on the top there. And little plastic cover that screws on top of the M.2 of the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna. And make sure that the antennas are nicely plugged in. So I'll just take this Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card off with the antennas attached, so I don't have to take this off, but you can change it, remove it if wanted to. Interestingly, they have put a little bit of glue or some kind of plastic underneath there. I don't know why, to support like the bottom of the M.2 Wi-Fi card, or it's just been accidentally put there. I'm not exactly sure. So as you can see, there's loads of tiny little motherboards that they've kind of connected together with ribbon cables. See that there? I'm gonna leave it attached if I can, just easier to put back together later on. Now, how do we get underneath? Now that's a tiny screw for the motherboard there. Okay, so these standoffs are actually screws that hold the motherboard down as well. So we'll have to take all of these off. Okay, we should have everything loose now. There's a few like, tapes that go on the side there. I'm not sure if this is for like warranty or something like that. See this bit over here that we could just take off, and then there's one there as well, but I'm hoping that will come once I lift this out. So here is our PC and the cooling for this PC. Now I want to take this fan off because this fan is thick and very, very big actually. For what I've seen on mini PCs, it's quite big one. Okay, there we go, just peels. There is a little sticker here to make sure that the airflow goes through and there's nothing coming in between, and all the air just flows through this little fins there. It's actually copper, and they've painted just the front black so that when you're looking from the back of the PC, it doesn't look copper there. But underneath here, that's where we see the magic of the cooling and how it's able to keep that much power under wraps. So what this thing over here is an actual vapor chamber. So this is a lot more efficient way of reducing or pulling heat from a heat source than a heat pipe. Usually we see big massive heat pipes which are a little bit cheaper, but this vapor chamber goes over, as you can see, the CPU that's underneath there. Seems like there's a thermal pad or something underneath there. I don't get that. That is very interesting. I don't know what type of a squishy thermal pad are they using underneath there. This is not thermal grease or anything else. You can see it from the sides. It sticks out from there and in there. You can clearly see this in the corner there because you can squish it down in there, as you can see. It's very, very soft and squishy. It's got to be some kind of graphene like sponge or whatever. And you can see the same thing underneath there, underneath the MOSFETs. So the power is cool, as well as the CPU. Whatever they're doing a great job, because it really, really works. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if this is vapor chamber there as well, because underneath here, it looks like this is a heat pipe that's soldered onto this block, as you can see that there. Unless it is a vapor chamber, I don't know. It might as well be as well. And that's how they can pull so much power through and keep it cool. I mean, for the price point, looks like you're getting quite a lot of PC and very good quality. That's interesting. I mean, the quality really stands out of the PC, actually. I've taken so many of these mini PCs apart, and often you can feel that, oh, this is like a second kind of quality, or it's kind of slopped in because they don't expect anyone to pull this apart. Everything seems very solid engineering and very, very good quality thing what's happening. Even just the way the Wi-Fi antennas are going back and really engineered well to just make it work, it makes it look very, very professional. Nothing's just glued down to make it work. They've put engineering into everything and thought through like, okay, how are we gonna make this work and make it also serviceable? Everything seems like custom engineered. Interesting, they've designed these special connectors that I've never seen before to actually just make sure all the daughter motherboards work, and honestly, I've never seen this before. Very impressed. Even the way the SSD cooler goes in, it just kind of slots into these tiny little grooves, so it's not just sliding in everywhere. It's like just slots in, that's it. Sticker can go back there. And we're all back together. Look, like new. So then, do I recommend this mini PC? To be honest, this is one of the highlights of mini PCs that I've checked out on this channel. I'm really liking the feel. Everything about it feels very, very premium. And I do think you're gonna get a good product because a lot of the cooling has been custom made, really thought through. They've improved a lot of the things that it seems like other manufacturers just slap on or buy, you know, off the shelf motherboards or parts. This is not true in this case. This seems very, very nice. The performance is insane. Put it on balance mode if you want it slightly quieter, or performance mode to add even more. All I can say is check out the links in the description below if you want to pick one up. And while you're there, you might want to check out the best bang for buck PC build guides, completely free. Whatever your budget is, there's one for you. And if you want to reach out and ask any questions, I'll always get back to all of my direct messages. So I'll see you in the comment section below. Thanks guys for watching. Bye bye.